everybody, Debbie again. Welcome back to Wednesday Stash, where I share ways that you can get your food. You can keep your food for longer. Before we get started, I wanted to show you the pickles. So, again, if you are making pickles, please share those pictures, but they look really great. I don't know if you can see from here, that cloud you see down the side, that's the weight. But those cucumbers are down there and they're doing well. Um, Remember, you're going to always check the top. I'm going to share some pictures, send some pictures out. Check the top, make sure you don't have anything growing on top. If you see anything, skim it off, don't just leave it there. Also, check the smell. The smells wonderful. But next week, this is week 2, one more week, and we'll have fermented pickles. So, again, if you have started, you can go ahead and start. But if you've started, please share what you have so far. So we're going to cover these back up and try to keep them out of the light. And we'll put these over here. All right, so kimchi. Now, if you haven't had this dish that originated in Korea, you're missing out. Wonderful, it's delicious. It's savory, it's salty, it's tangy, it's just spicy. It's really, really good stuff. And there's a lot of steps, but it's not difficult to make. So it's a spice blend. I have my cheat sheet, so this way I don't leave anything out, of naturally fermented vegetables. You're going to have Napa cabbage, radishes, green onion, garlic, ginger, and Korean red pepper. You can try it on eggs, rice noodles, hot dog soup. Okay, but my favorite, it goes awesome on pizza, and it's really good in a grilled cheese sandwich. Awesome stuff. So the lactic acid that you need for fermentation is already in the, like with the cucumbers, the lactic acid is already there on the vegetables. So with that fermentation process, it's not like last week where we had to add culture for the yogurt. It's already there. And the sugars in the vegetables converted into lactic acid, acetic acid, carbon dioxide, and ethanol. Kimchi produces less acid but more carbonation. So when you're fermenting it, you might hear a sizzle, you might hear it fizz, because it's fermenting. Also, this is a quick ferment. It's not as quick as the yogurt we made, which you can have in about 8 hours. This type of ferment, it takes 1 to 2 days, quick turnaround. You don't have to wait 3 weeks for this, or next week I'm going to show you how to make sauerkraut, and that's going to take about 4 to 6 weeks. So, so the recipe, we're going to drop the recipe in the comments, and this is what's called I hope I say correctly, a bichu style, chopped cabbage style, but it's from Colorado Extension, and it'll be in there. So we're going to get started. I'm going to move these out of the way so I have enough space. Right back. And I'm going to put trade them out. I might need those paper towels. Okay? So before we get started, I want to wash my hands, not trying to turn my back to the camera. All right. And when you make this, you want to make sure you use these. Because we're working with the Korean red pepper, really don't want the peppers on your hands. It might burn your hands a little bit, and it will definitely burn your eyes if you forget. Later you washed your hands, they're all clean, and then you go rub your eye and you realize, wait a minute, I worked with peppers today and this really hurts. So for this particular recipe, make sure that you have some gloves. Okay? So you want to prepare your cabbage. So for this recipe, I use Napa cabbage. And again, we're going to drop all this in the comments. You're going to cut it, you're going to core it, see any messy spots, remove those, and you make a salt dip. I've already done this. You mix some canning salt. I use canning salt for this recipe. So you're going to mix the canning salt in the water. You're going to dip the Napa cabbage that you've cut into 2-inch pieces after you trimmed and cored it, and you're going to dip it in there. That's going to prepare it for the dry salting. So after you've dipped it in, you take it all out. You're going to take all of your Napa cabbage and you're going to add a cup of salt, and you're going to mix it all in, massage it in, because this is going to help pull water out of, it's going to give flavor too, salt flavor to it, but it's going to pull the water out of your cabbage. So once that's done, once you've put the dry salt, the salt on the drained off cabbage, you're going to leave it for 3 to 6 hours. I got up early this morning, started all that, so that's been done. It's been sitting in that salt mixture, and then when the time is up, you're going to rinse it, 3 or 4 times in cold water to pull off all the extra salt, and then you're going to drain it for 30 minutes. So this has been draining, and if you can see it, I started off with a roasting pan full of Napa cabbage, because that was the biggest container, you'll see it again, that I had, and it filled it up. But this is what's left after, oops, there you go, you really get to see it now. This is what's left after it's been sitting in the salt, it's been rinsed, and then it's been left to sit and drain for 30 minutes. Okay, so after you've done that and you've rinsed it, you're going to prepare next. While this is going on, you're going to prepare a sweet rice paste, and this is what your sweet. Let's see, can you see it? Yeah, this is your sweet rice flour. Not difficult to do. You need half a cup of water, 2 tablespoons of the rice flour. Mix the rice flour in cold water. Don't use hot water, it's going to siege right up on you. Mix it in cold water, then you're going to put it in the pan, and you're going to bring it to a boil. Once it's come to a boil, just let it cool. So this was left out, and that's what that looks like. It's down there in the bottom of the pot, and it's cool now. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a pepper paste. So in your pepper paste, it's going to be the recipe, with the Colorado recipe, it says that you can use 2 to 10 cloves of garlic. I went ahead, let's just do 10, why not? So we have 10 cloves of garlic in here. You want minced garlic, so I minced that up. Also, you can do this, you can chop up the garlic in a blender also if you want to. You can mix it into a paste, but I just went ahead and decided to mince it up. And then 3 nice slices of ginger, and again, you can drop that in the blender, in a little blender, along with a little bit of water to help it whirl with the garlic, but I decided to go ahead and mince this as well. So that's minced up. And you're going to add 1 cup of Korean chili, the red pepper. You want to make sure it's the one that's for kimchi, and this is going to give it the spice, the flavor, but it's also going to give it that distinctive red color. You'll see that in a little bit. And then you're just going to mix that paste all together. And I'm smelling all of this stuff. It's lots of smells. This smells wonderful. I love the smell of peppers, chili peppers. They smell marvelous. So we're going to give that a good mix. And with your rice flour, and that looks marvelous. So that's what that's going to look like. Now, to that, we're going to mix with our veggies. So I'm going to grab another bowl, and the veggies that go in, other than your cabbage, you're going to have um, daikon. It's a type of radish, and you're going to cut it into matchstick pieces for that. And the recipe tells you it's about a pound and a half of daikon, and we all cut all of that up. And we also have um, green onion, and the recipe calls for 10 green onion julienne style. So if you don't have those knife skills, I want to work on my knife skills more. But if you don't have those knife skills, you might be interested in getting in touch with an extension agent, a family consumer sciences agent in your area. A lot of them have been trained. They can teach you how to do all of the different cuts, julienne, chiffonade, chop, there's specific ways to do it, and there are people out there to help you. So get in touch with your local cooperative extension, and you can get some help on learning those skills. And then the last thing that's going to go in here, and this is optional, it's up to you if you want to use it or not, but this is Asian pear. And the Asian pear is it's going to give it a little bit of sweetness. It smells so good. It smells awesome. Very fragrant. But I love to. I've made this recipe, maybe 6 or 7 times, but I always use the Asian pear. So with your vegetables, I'm just going to give those a toss. It's another reason why you want to have gloves on. And to this, we're going to add our pepper paste to the vegetables and fruit. We're going to give that a mix. And this is another reason why I suggested that you have gloves, because doing this, I've never been able to do it with a spoon. So go ahead and mix your vegetables, fruit, onions with your red pepper paste. And that's where you really start seeing this color. I'm going to share it with you so that you can, I'll tip it over when I get it mixed up. Now after you've, of course, I've got a friend in here bothering me. You must be smelling all of this. Ay, 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 out. Okay, so after that, we've got that mixed in. Our next step, our final step is going to be mixing the Napa cabbage with the vegetables. And we're going to put our drained cabbage in here. Okay, and then to that we're going to add all of this. That's why I needed a bigger container, just so that I can mix all of this. Okay, and then we're going to mix it all together. You're going to massage it all in. We have a good blend. Make sure you have it all evenly spread. All right. So now that we have that all mixed together, and I'll tilt this to the camera so you get a chance to see it without dumping it on the counter, of course. Oh, that looks gorgeous. All right, so that's what your kimchi is going to look like once you have everything mixed up. Okay, so our next step, fermenting. Well, what are we going to ferment it in? So I'm going to remove these. You have a couple of options. looking for my wide mouths and I hid them for myself. Here they go. Okay, you have a couple of options. You can either use canning jars, and fermenting, when you go to pack your canning jars, you want to make sure that you only go 2/3 way up the side of the jar, because this is a quick ferment, and like I said, it's going to produce carbon dioxide. It does less acid, more of the gases, so you need space. It's going to bubble, it's going to, and you're going to put this into a dish. Even though you're going to go 2/3 of the way up, you're going to pack it down in there. I'll show you. You're going to go ahead and fill up your jar 2/3 way. And right now you can see it's not very juicy. It's going to get very, very juicy. The juices are going to be pulled out of the other. And when you put this in here, you're just going to make sure you push it down. And while you're pushing air out. Remember, fermentation is an anaerobic process, so you want the lactic acid bacteria. It is juicing up now. You want the lactic acid bacteria. You're trying to give it a good environment, and its environment is anaerobic. And so you want to mash the air out. And then you're going to cap this tightly, because you don't want any air in there. You're going to put a cap on there, and you're going to leave it. And you're going to notice juice is going to start rising. It's going to bubble. But this is not my preferred way of doing it. I have an easier way that I think works really well, and I'll show you. I prefer to use a Ziploc bag. It works really, really great. Usually with this recipe, I'll use 2 Ziploc bags. And it's going to be the same thing. You're going to fill your bag up. Put about half in here. And you're probably like, what in the world am I going to do with all that kimchi if I make the recipe? Oh, and I left an ingredient out, and it's probably just as well because my husband is not a fan. I usually make it with fish sauce. You add 2 teaspoons of fish sauce to it. Fish sauce is one of those that, for a lot of people, it's a leave or take. Leave it, I love it or I hate it. So if this is a deal breaker for you, I have some wonderful people I work with. This is a deal breaker. They don't like this stuff. So, but usually I do add the fish sauce to it. I think it's wonderful, but it can be a little bit too much for some people. But once you get your kimchi in your bag, pack up the rest of that later. Go ahead and almost seal your bag and press all of the air out. And then go ahead and seal it. And once you've done that, you're just going to leave that on the counter and let it do its thing. Okay? Now, like I had told you before, this is a quick ferment. So you're going to, it's going to take, and leave yourself some space in the bag. Don't fill the bag all the way to the top. Leave it about 2/3 like you do with the jar. But this is a quick ferment, so you're going to have kimchi in 1 to 2 days. Leave this out on the counter. It might be where I've never had a bag fill up so much that it burst open or anything like that. But it might get a little puffy. It might, start swelling a little bit. So all you do is you open it up, burp your bag, squeeze it back down, and let it continue to ferment for the 2 days. Now you have another option. You don't have to do it on the counter for 2 days. You can allow this to ferment in the refrigerator for 3 to 4 days. Now we're going into the summertime. It's getting, it's getting warm. Today, where I am, it's going to be about 91 degrees. And if you are doing this in a warm kitchen, over 85 degrees, you're going to go from, instead of it fermenting, it's going to spoil before it ferments. So that's why, if you're doing this under warm conditions, do the refrigerator option, 3 to 4 days in the refrigerator, and it's good to go. And ideally, you want to use this, for best quality. You want to make sure that you use this in, let's see, trying to remember, 2 days on the counter, and you want to use that best quality, use within a week. And what I mean by that, it'll be safe to eat. It's not that it's going to become unsafe to eat. It will be safe to eat. That's another reason you use a tested recipe. When you use tested recipes, you know that you're putting something together that's, you have confidence in eating and confidence into giving someone else to eat. But for this one, it's best quality to use it within a week, because over time it's going to go softer and softer. Now, some people, they like that texture change. They like that, and the flavor will change as well. And these are desired qualities, desired things that they like in their kimchi. But as far as it getting softer and softer after you go more than a week, that's what's going to happen. It's going to break down. It's going to start going soft. Now, keep in mind, for the pickles that we're working on, if I decide that I want to can those, I can can them. You can do water bath canning. For the sauerkraut that I'm going to show you next week, again, after it's finished fermenting, you can can it. Kimchi, there are no canning methods for kimchi. This is something that you keep in the refrigerator. So there are no tested recipes for canning. And that's it for Wednesday Stash. One of the things, if you notice any spoilage, if you notice any mold, if you notice anything amiss in there, a bad smell. I mean, right now there's a lot of smell going on right now, but it smells good. But if you notice that it's spoilage, things are amiss in there, it's not right, this is something that you want to discard. You don't want to keep something if it doesn't, if there are things going on. And then also keeping the air out is really important, because like I said, it's anaerobic. So when, this is ready to eat, you're going to open it up, get some, put it in the dish, squeeze. When you close the bag back up, squeeze all of that air out. If you decide that you want to do it the jar method, it's all packed down, you have it tight with the lid. When you go to get some to eat, and you scoop some out, take the spoon, mash it back down, always keep, you want to press that air out of it, and then you're going to recap it, okay? Because like I said, with fermentation, it's anaerobic. You don't want to have oxygen present to allow other things that want an opportunity to grow that you do not want to eat. Again, like I said, that's it for this week's Wednesday Stash. Join me next week where we're going to make sauerkraut. I consider that the gateway ferment, extremely easy. You need 2 ingredients, and that's it. 2 ingredients, and you mix everything up, and in a few weeks, you have something delicious and safe to eat. I'm Debbie Stroud. Thank you for joining me on Wednesday Stash. We're going to drop a bunch of stuff in the comments. You'll have the recipe. You'll have some pictures of some of the things that I did when I made the paste. And if you decide to do this, please go ahead and put your pictures in and let everyone know, hey, I tried the recipe, I loved it, or I didn't like it, or I tried the recipe and I tried it with fish sauce and it was awesome. I really do hope I can get to hear that and help all of us fish sauce lovers out there. But take care, and I'll see you next Wednesday.